I stumbled upon an injured white fox in a pile of trash one day. During my free time, I loved curling up in her soft fur for naps. As she recovered, she transformed into human form and with fierce eyes warned me, "Foxes only have one mate in their lifetime. I already have someone I like, and I absolutely won't accept you. Keep your filthy thoughts to yourself, I'll never like you." After saying that, she ran off, leaving me dumbfounded. I didn't understand what she was talking about. After all, I had always treated her like a cat. What did having a mate have to do with anything? Later, I bought a chubby Samoyed puppy named Sammy. When I brought Sammy home, I found the little fox squatting at my doorstep, looking aggrieved. "You humans are so fickle," she sobbed. "Can you ditch it and keep me instead? My fur is softer and thicker, I eat less, and I can even earn money, all of which I'll give to you. If you don't agree, I'll eat that stupid dog you're holding." Finding the white fox was purely accidental. At first, I thought she was a dog. By the third day after bringing her home, she transformed back into her human form and was lounging on my couch cushions, leisurely eating chips and watching TV. Her big, fluffy tail wagged happily whenever she enjoyed a scene. In that moment, my mind went blank, replaying countless times the core principles of moral values. Later, she explained to me in a disdainful tone that white foxes were naturally evolved creatures, not some supernatural phenomenon. "So can you eat dog food?" I asked while playfully squeezing her ears. "Stop, don't pinch me," she replied. Her face flushed with a steamy redness as she backed away. "I eat meat, not dog food. I'm not some low-level creature that wags its tail for humans like a dog." I sighed, realizing she was quite high maintenance. 3 months after I found her on a dark and windy night, she ran away. Before leaving, she angrily warned me again, "Foxes only have one mate in their lifetime. I'll never like you." Then she disappeared, leaving me standing there in confusion, unable to comprehend her words. Her departure was baffling. I thought about it for a long time and couldn't figure out her intentions, so I simply stopped dwelling on it. Life returned to normal. 2 weeks later, a business partner invited me to a cafe to discuss a project. I brought my laptop along. While chatting, my eyes fell on the white fox she had transformed into human form again. She was stunning, fair skin, striking features, long legs, and her gaze cold and indifferent. She leaned against the railing, looking down at the crowd below with impatience. "Mr. Johnson, do you know Miss Victoria?" my business partner asked eagerly, noticing my gaze. "Miss Victoria is a major shareholder of Roman Enterprises. I scheduled today's meeting here, knowing she often visits. Perhaps you could introduce us?" I froze for a moment before realizing he was referring to the white fox. Shaking my head, I replied, "I don't know her. She's just very beautiful." My apology clearly disappointed him, and his attitude toward me cooled for the rest of the meeting. I didn't mind. I finished explaining the project, paid the bill, and got ready to leave. As I walked out, I noticed Victoria chatting with a mature, impeccably dressed man. They were standing close, so close their bodies overlapped. It looked like he was holding her in his arms, perhaps even kissing her. I looked away without any particular emotion. On my way home, I passed a pet hospital and saw a large Samoyed displayed in the window. The fluffy white dog raised its paw and pressed it against the glass just as I placed my hand on it. In that instant, I made up my mind. I would buy it. Owning a dog was far easier than dealing with a white fox. Dogs don't talk, they love dog food, and they're obedient. Sammy would lazily lie on the carpet waiting for me to come home and take him out. Together, we visited many places, beaches, aquariums, seal exhibits. One day, I stopped by a cafe for coffee. The staff didn't allow pets inside, so I tied Sammy's leash to a post outside and warned him to behave. Suddenly, 2 people appeared nearby, Victoria and the man she had been close to. The man sneered at Sammy's wagging tail, saying dogs are such pathetic creatures begging for affection from humans. They're a disgrace to the canine family. Victoria's gaze darkened as she stared at me coldly. I ignored them, patting Sammy's head and softly promising, "Be good, sweetie. I'll make you some beef meatballs tonight." With that, I walked past them without sparing them a glance. When I came out of the cafe, Sammy was gone. The leash had been untied, and both the leash and the dog had vanished. I froze for a moment. Victoria was standing at the entrance, sipping bubble tea. Seeing my reaction, she sneered and, with obvious delight, said, "See? It abandoned you." How could a mindless creature like that ever be loyal to its owner? Foxes drinking bubble tea, that was odd. Annoyed, I left and started calling out Sammy's name while asking passers-by if they had seen a white Samoyed. I walked nearly 2 miles searching for him and began to panic. Just as I was about to call animal rescue, I heard Victoria's irritating voice again. "Why bother? That stupid dog isn't worth looking for. It can't even sniff its way back to its owner. What a disgrace to the canine family. It's ugly too, so plain and white." I couldn't hold back anymore. Suppressing my anger, I snapped at her. "You're insane." She froze, shocked. "Are you yelling at me over that stupid dog? You've only had it for 2 weeks and you're already willing to scold me for it? What's next? Are you going to sick it on me? You can't treat me like this." She looked hurt, but Ethan was on the verge of tears, his usually narrow, fox-like eyes now wide open and faintly tinged with crimson. I was utterly speechless, unable to comprehend what he was doing. "It's my dog. Of course I'll protect it. Besides, you're the one who said we have nothing to do with each other anymore." I studied him for a moment, noting his tailored designer suit. Extending my hand, I said, "Judging by your appearance, you're doing quite well in human society. How about settling the money I spent on feeding you before? I need to buy some toys for my dog." You, Ethan stammered, seemingly on the verge of exploding with anger. His words grew incoherent. "A stupid dog doesn't need toys." Suddenly, someone called out from across the street, interrupting him. "Miss Lily." The voice was cheerful and the person hurried over, eyes gleaming as they looked at her. It was that business partner from the other day. Turning back to me, Lily's demeanor shifted dramatically, her attitude now warm and enthusiastic. "Oh, Mr. Zach, you know Miss Lily. Why didn't you mention it earlier? We'll sign that contract immediately. I'll have the legal team draft it right away. If I'd known you were close to Miss Lily, we wouldn't have wasted so much time, right?" I was left speechless. Losing my dog and being forced to work overtime on a weekend, what a disaster. Cursing Ethan inwardly, I managed a polite smile and waited for the client to look away before giving Snow a sharp glare. Her expression turned even more innocent and pitiful, her large eyes welling up with tears, as though they could spill over at any second. By the time the contract was signed, it was already 7 p.m. Exhausted, I walked out of the office, only to find a standoff at the entrance, a white Sammy, tense with its paws scraping the ground, growling as it warned off a certain someone with a distinct fox aura. Meanwhile, Snow stood with her arms crossed, looking utterly indifferent as she muttered words I couldn't understand. She was communicating with my dog. Could foxes and dogs actually understand each other's languages? I couldn't believe it. Watching them from a distance for a moment, I finally walked over and rubbed Sammy's head, soothing him. "Don't be mad, sweetie. Daddy's back." After a pause, Snow approached and crouched down beside me, lowering her head. "What are you doing?" I asked. "I want a head rub too," she replied, leaning closer. "You raised me too, didn't you? You can't just pet him and not me." I was at a loss for words. From the business partner earlier, I'd already learned her identity. Lily, the eldest daughter of the prominent Zach family, a major shareholder in the country's largest semiconductor company. She was undoubtedly part of the top echelon of wealth and power. How could she also be a shameless fox? Standing up with a cold expression, I asked her directly, "Was it you who took my dog earlier?" "I didn't steal him," she muttered, her voice faltering. "The leash was too loose. I just gave it a tug, and it came undone." "Your dog followed the trail of a hot dog. There was nothing I could do." I stared at her silently, and she bit her lip. "Fine, I admit it was my fault," she said dejectedly. "You treat him too well, rubbing his head, buying him toys, even kissing him. I don't like it. You used to only raise me a fox, didn't you? You said you had a favorite fox and told me not to covet you anymore. Is that handsome guy today the fox you like?" I kept my cold expression and asked her sharply, "You like him but still come around to mess with me. Is this your idea of loyalty?" I'm not disloyal, she protested, anxious. That fox is my real brother, born of the same mother. It's you who's been hugging and cuddling other women. I got angry and said those hurtful things. Snow's voice grew softer and increasingly aggrieved until she was finally using the back of her hand to wipe away tears. A white fox only has one mate in its lifetime. We're not like you humans, who are fickle and unfaithful. You saved me, saw my pure fox form, and touched me and held me so many times. You're the mate I've decided on. You can't betray me. I was utterly dumbfounded. Was this even possible? I don't like you, I said bluntly. Touching you was only because you're part of the canine family. I don't know how your white fox clan defines mate, but in human society, hugs and head rubs don't establish such relationships. I told her directly, I earned a commission from that project, which should cover your food expenses during your time at my place. We're even now. I don't like you and don't want to be your mate. Please stop doing strange things in the future. Goodbye. No, let's make that never see you again. With that, I grabbed Sammy and walked away quickly, determined to put as much distance as possible between myself and that strange white fox. She didn't follow me, and I breathed a sigh of relief. Once home, I prepared a meal for Sammy: beef, tofu, and cabbage soup, served with a bowl of dog food, and watched him lick the plate clean. Poor thing, I said, stroking his head. You went hungry all day because of that nasty white fox. From now on, if you see her, just go ahead and bite her, okay? Sammy grinned, extending his paw for a high five. That night, as I drifted into a haze of sleep, I suddenly felt something furry brushing against my chin. Thinking it was Sammy, I instinctively pushed it away. Sweetie, stop messing around. The furry thing hesitated for a moment, then rubbed against me more insistently, even licking my neck one wet, sticky stroke after another, sending heat coursing through my body. I opened my eyes and locked gazes with a pair of narrow, pitch-black eyes staring intently at me, as if they wanted to devour me whole. It was Snow. I pushed her away as hard as I could, her dark eyes flashing crimson as she pressed my hands down with her paws. Her massive fox form loomed over me, blocking out everything. Strands of black fur fell onto my face as I turned away in frustration, trying to escape. Furious, I kicked her. Get off me. She let out a muffled grunt, her body trembling slightly. But instead of retreating, she pressed down on me even harder. What are you doing? Get away, did you hear me? Is it a crime? I heard her muffled voice, tinged with frustration. I feel terrible. Can I hug you? Just for a moment, I promise, she pleaded. Victoria's fluffy fox head nuzzled against my cheek, her furry ears brushing past my forehead unintentionally. Her soft whimpers echoed in the room, unable to be suppressed. For a moment, I froze. Was this a mating season thing? A heightened sensitivity period? Or had she taken something? She flicked her ears but didn't answer my question. Victoria was massive, her fox form easily twice my size. Her fur covering the entire 2-meter wide bed. Lying under her felt suffocatingly heavy. After a moment of silence, I patted her paw. Can you switch positions? Let me be on top instead. As soon as she adjusted her position, I seized the opportunity, wriggling free from her grasp and climbing off the bed. Grabbing the knife from the nightstand, I pointed it at her. You tricked me, I shouted. She whimpered, tilting her neck back in grievance, and began to howl a loud, ear-piercing sound. Panicked, I yelled back, Shut up, do you want the neighbors to come banging on my door? Her howls ceased immediately, and she leapt off the bed, crouching on the floor. Her eyes looked moist, her ears drooping, her expression pitifully sad. I pressed my fingertips to my temples. What's wrong with you? It's my mating season, she murmured. Foxes need the scent of their mate to calm down during this time. My head throbbed and exhaustion weighed on me. I wasn't feeling well, so I came to you, she added. I thought for a moment before asking, So for you and your mate, there's not just a physical connection? You actually need a scent match for bonding, is that right? I stared at the fox pitifully pawing at the floor, clearly agitated by her instincts. She looked up at me, her massive body making her impossible to handle or chase away. With a sigh, I grabbed yesterday's shirt from the balcony, a shirt I hadn't gotten around to washing, and threw it at her. "Will this do?" "It's too faint," she muttered, rubbing her head against the shirt with a downtrodden look. "It's not enough." She rolled on the floor, clearly distressed, her massive 2-meter frame spinning in circles and letting out soft whines. The rolling didn't stop, it carried her straight into the bathroom. Moments later, she emerged, clutching a pair of underwear from the laundry basket near the tub with her teeth. "What are you doing?" I asked, horrified, watching her pin the underwear down with her paw and start licking it furiously. It was grotesque. I wanted to snatch it away but didn't dare provoke the clearly unhinged fox. Taking 2 steps back, I bolted out of the room, heading to the guest bedroom. Locking the door behind me, I slumped to the cold floor, heart pounding. Only after a long while did I feel a semblance of calm. Yawning, I climbed onto the bed and drifted into a restless sleep. I was too tired to deal with that crazy fox tonight. I'd confront her in the morning. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of breakfast. Victoria had prepared a simple dish of noodles with a poached egg and a few greens. It looked appetizing enough. She stood nearby, her hands nervously wiping on her apron, her expression hesitant and eager to please. I let out a cold chuckle, leaning against the doorframe. "What the hell was last night about?" She coughed lightly but didn't meet my gaze. "It's mating season," she muttered. "I was overwhelmed by the need for your scent. I couldn't help myself." "Why does your mating season require my scent?" I asked, frowning. "Because I like you," she said softly. "I like you, Alex. I see you as my mate. Only your scent can soothe me during mating season." This kind of forced connection felt suffocating. "So, what happens in future mating seasons if I don't let you near me?" I asked. "Then I'll just bash my head against the wall until I die," she replied, her tone filled with sorrow. "Once I've chosen you, only you can calm me. No one else, not people, not other foxes, can replace you." I was speechless. Is this how all white foxes operate? Forcing others into things? "It's not forcing," she said earnestly. "My clan has always said that no human can resist the charm of a white fox. Even married humans, once they sleep with us, they'll want to keep sleeping with us. Want to try?" "Shut up," I snapped, cutting her off. My gaze shifted to the breakfast table. "What about Sammy's food?" She froze for a moment before reacting. "You mean that Samoyed?" Her fur bristled instantly. "You expect me to cook for a dog? That lowly creature? How dare you ask me to serve it food I won't, and it wouldn't dare eat if I did." I stared at her silently. "Are you going to do it or not?" After a long pause, she crouched down in front of me, her ears and tail emerging, swishing gently as she tried to coax me with her fluffiness. "Why don't you get rid of it and just keep me? Look at me, I'm softer, more obedient, and I can earn money. All the money I make will be yours. Just take care of me, okay? Only me." Her paw, no, hand rested lightly on my knee. Her slender fox eyes, widened into exaggerated ovals to appear more adorable, blinked at me in a bid to soften my resolve. In the haze of the moment, I remembered the information I'd found last night about Zach's family. His sister, Lily, was the epitome of beauty and privilege, born into wealth and power. In the few public photos of her, she radiated a queen-like aura, looking down at the world with an unyielding gaze. She was nothing like the pitiful, clingy fox in front of me. I hesitated, about to say something, when the doorbell rang. A clear female voice called out, "Alex, are you home?" I realized belatedly it was my colleague from upstairs who also loved dogs. We'd agreed to take Sammy out for a walk today. Victoria's tail stiffened, her gaze darkening and turning crimson. Yet she quickly masked the predatory glint and smiled softly at me. "Brother, shall I help you drive that bad person away?" "She's not a bad person," I said, nudging her aside. "She asked me to hide in the room." "No," I refused. Her face was full of grievance. "What are you going to do with her that I can't see? You can't treat me like this." Snow was clearly jealous and reason was out the window. The doorbell rang for what felt like forever. Helpless, I frowned and warned her, "If you don't go hide, I will never talk to you again." She looked at me in disbelief, her eyes suddenly filled with heartbreak. "You're scolding me for some ugly woman?" She started crying again, wiping her tears as she slowly got up and trudged toward the bedroom. Choking back sobs, she muttered, "I'll listen. I'll be good. Just don't ignore me." I couldn't wrap my head around Snow's logic. Shaking my head, I got up and opened the door to let my colleague in. Somehow, Sammy had come out and was happily running circles around her. "It seems your dog really likes me," she said, bending down to pet Sammy's head. Then she looked up and saw the noodles on the dining table. She gave an apologetic smile. "Oh, you made noodles. I thought you hadn't eaten, so I brought some churros." "No worries," I replied, taking the bag from her hand after a moment of thought. "The noodles can be for the dog. I was just craving churros. Thank you." By the time I got home, it was already late. I changed into my slippers and looked at the darkened living room. I thought to myself that Fox must have left by now. I couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. After opening a can of food for Sammy, I stretched and turned around only to be met with a pair of fox eyes filled with resentment. "Ah!" I jumped back 2 steps, tripping over Sammy, who was busy eating his canned food. My back hit the corner of the table and tears streamed down my face from the pain. "It hurts," I cried. "Serves you right," Snow said coldly, helping me up and sitting me on the couch. She rubbed my injured back with a stern expression. A 2-timing human deserves to be punished. I didn't say anything, just sat on the couch silently enduring the pain, tears still falling. "All right, don't cry now, okay?" she said soothingly, her tone softening. "We'll punish that table, break it apart and use it for firewood. Be good, okay? Let the pain fly away. It makes me feel bad when you're hurt." She nuzzled her head against my neck, her fluffy tail brushing against my face, wiping away the tears. "If it still hurts, you can pull the fur on my tail," she offered with a hint of flattery, wagging her big tail in front of me. I stared at the tip of her tail for a long moment before grabbing it and using it to wipe my face hard, trying to erase all traces of tears. Her face turned red as she knelt in front of the couch, whispering shyly, "I'm still in my mating season. Don't pull too hard." Without a word, I pulled her tail again. "Alex," she whimpered, trembling and covering her eyes. When she looked up again, her eyes were shimmering with tears, glistening like water. Seeing this, I let go of her tail, but she quickly pushed the tip back into my hand. "You can pull it harder," she said, her face flushed. "It actually feels nice when you do." "Shameless fox," I scolded her. "No, I'm not," she retorted quietly, her pure white ears twitching adorably. Not wanting to argue with her, I sniffled and asked, "When are you leaving my house?" "I don't want to leave," she said, a little angry and a little aggrieved. "At least wait until my mating season is over. Whether in fox form or human form, I'm beautiful and wealthy. I can provide for a lot of babies. Why do you hate me so much?" I shrank back. "Who would want a fox as a spouse? What if you eat me? You already eat raw meat and can chew through bones if you ate me. The police wouldn't even find out. Plus, your fox form is so big, what if you accidentally crushed me to death? Who would I complain to? No, absolutely not. You don't want a fox as a partner." She froze as if she hadn't anticipated this reason. After a long pause, she asked softly, "So you wouldn't accept me just because I'm a fox? What if I stayed in human form forever? I wouldn't even show my tail or ears. Would that be okay?" I shook my head and kindly advised her, "I really can't. You should find someone else to like. With your looks and personality, you could easily find someone 100 times better than me." "No," she said firmly. "I'm a loyal fox. I'll only ever love one person in my life and I won't change. If you don't like me, I'll just work harder to make you fall for me." She rummaged through her pocket and pulled out a black card with gold trim, pressing it into my hand. "Here's an unlimited credit card. Use it however you want. If I've given you money, you can't kick me out." I was silent for a moment, then patted her arm. "Turn around." "Why?" she asked, but turned obediently. Her tail disappeared. I swallowed nervously and reached to touch the back of her skirt, noticing that it was deliberately designed not to be sealed, just 2 overlapping pieces of fabric covering the area. My hand trembled as I lifted the soft fabric, revealing the white undergarments underneath. "Alex," she whimpered, "this space is too small. Can we go to the bedroom?" "Shut up," I said, pretending to act nonchalant as I withdrew my hand. "I was just curious, how can you wear a skirt and still let your tail show? Are all your skirts like this? Do you wear them like this outside?" "Of course not," she replied, putting her tail back out and rubbing it against my palm. "I only wear them like this around you." This shameless fox had made herself at home in my house using tricks she must have learned from someone else. She began humbling herself, trying to win over Sammy. Dog toys, dog food, dog treats. Even when ordering milk tea, she'd get a cup of goat milk for Sammy. Not to mention the fact that they seemed to speak the same language. When I came home one day, I saw the fox and the dog snuggled together on the couch, watching TV and sharing a bag of chips. The whole scene felt surreal. "Lily," I said, my expression complicated, "dogs can't eat potato chips." "They can," she replied, transforming back into her human form and holding up the bag of chips for me to see. The bold words on the package read, "Doggy chips. Brother, humans can eat them too," she added. "Do you want to try?" I remained silent for a moment before sincerely asking her, "Miss Lily, don't you need to work? Isn't your family's company, Royal Enterprises, a massive operation, is slacking off here every day really okay?" "A fox in mating season doesn't need to work," she said, sensing my displeasure but clueless as to what she'd done wrong. She set the chips down, her ears drooping as she spoke softly. "For the next few days, my brother will handle my work. He told me my only task is to get through mating season and bring my mate home." Her brother, who was far more well-known than she was, often appeared in the public eye as the eldest son of the prestigious Zack family. He too was a fox, a white fox to be precise. I felt like my worldview was crumbling as I struggled to ask, "Wait, does that mean your entire family is made up of foxes?" "No, just me, my brother, and my younger sister," she whispered. "Our mother is a white fox, so the three of us inherited her traits. The white fox gene is very strong. If you and I had children, they would also be white foxes." She pursed her lips and then disappeared into the kitchen, returning with a plate of strawberry cake. Offering it to me as a peace offering, she said, "Brother, please don't be mad. I made this cake for you. I specifically asked them to add lots and lots of strawberries. They're the freshest ones, flown in just this morning. Try it." Seeing the hopeful look on her face, I hesitated for a moment before picking up the fork beside me. Just as I was about to take a bite, my phone rang. It was my boss, calling to discuss a project and asking me to return to the office immediately. Overtime pay was included. "Got it," I replied before hanging up. When I looked back, the white fox's face was filled with disappointment. "I made an entire table of your favorite dishes. You don't have time to eat, do you?" she asked, her tone resigned. "It's okay, your work is important. Brother, go ahead. I'll always be here to support you. No matter when you turn around, you'll find me." I was at a loss for words, choking up slightly. Who had taught this proud, stubborn little fox to act like such a sweet, understanding green tea fox? "You don't have to do this," I said with a sigh. "It's just a meeting. I'll be back soon. Save the food, I'll eat it when I get home." Plucking a strawberry from the cake, I popped it into my mouth and added, "The strawberries are really sweet. Thank you." When I arrived at the office, I finally understood why my boss had been so frantic. The Zack family had sent someone over to discuss a collaboration, specifically requesting our team. The next head of the Zack family had also come Lily's brother. He was far more composed than the young lady of the Zack family, dressed in a meticulously tailored suit. His cold and impassive demeanor was accompanied by an intimidating aura that kept everyone at a distance. After the project presentation, he remained silent for a moment before pointing at me. "You stay. Everyone else leave," he commanded, his finger tapping the desk. Once the conference room was quiet again, he got straight to the point. "Mr. Alex, do you like my sister?" I hesitated for a moment before answering softly, "I'm not ready to start a family with a white fox just yet. I'm sorry." "There's no need to apologize. I understand," he said with a nod of acknowledgement. "The problem is that she likes you and has decided you're her mate. White foxes go through a mating season once a year. Without the scent of a mate, it's very difficult for them. I'd like to propose an agreement. Even if you don't have feelings for her, you could accompany her during mating season each year. I'd compensate you accordingly." I actually have a question, I said, finally voicing the thought that had been nagging at me. If white foxes need a mate so badly, and their mates can't be replaced, what happens if their mate dies? Zack smiled faintly. It seems you underestimate the importance of a mate to a white fox. In our species, if a mate dies, the white fox will carry the body to the mountains, find a cave, and wait for death without eating or drinking. You could say that once a white fox chooses a mate, they entrust their life entirely to that person. I was still reeling from Zack's words when I arrived home and stood at the door. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Survival is supposed to be the driving force of evolution for all species, yet white foxes seem to be evolving in a bizarre direction. Mating season without a mate could be fatal, and once a mate was chosen, they couldn't be replaced. These traits seemed far more detrimental than beneficial, yet they persisted, becoming even more extreme. It was surreal. I couldn't understand it. Lost in thought, I stood at the door for a long time before finally taking out my key to unlock it. Inside, Lily was still in her fox form, sharing a pack of cookies with the dog. They were on the verge of fighting over the last one. "Lily," I called out. Her pure white figure froze for a moment before she quickly transformed back into her human form, looking at me uneasily. "It's more comfortable in fox form," she explained. "I didn't know you'd be back. I didn't mean to. I won't do it again." She spoke cautiously, her voice soft. "Brother, just treat me as a person. Don't think of me as a fox or a white fox. Fox is just an adjective. At my core, I'm still human. You can't reject me because of that." Her hands were clenched tightly, and she anxiously awaited my response. I looked at her, my expression complicated, and finally said, "I'm hungry. Is there any food left from what you made?" After dinner, I planned to ask her some questions, though my mind was in such disarray that I wasn't sure what to say. The leftovers had lost their flavor, and I didn't have much of an appetite. I ate only a little before setting down my fork and glancing over. The white fox was happily eating strawberry cake, savoring each bite of cream with a face full of bliss and satisfaction. "Brother, this cake is so delicious," she exclaimed. "Would you like to try some?" I shook my head. I was about to ask her if eating so much cream might not be a good idea, but seeing how happy she looked while eating, I decided against it. Snow is still a person, after all. She should be able to handle it, right? I pressed my lips together and asked her, "Since your family is so powerful, why were you injured by the trash bin at the beginning?" My brother's rival underestimated him. They tried to kidnap me to threaten him. "But it's all taken care of now. It won't involve my brother at all," she assured me. Lily suddenly leaned in close and carefully sniffed me. "Brother, why do you smell like my brother?" "I saw him tonight," I replied honestly. "Lily, have you ever thought about what you'd do if I insisted on not wanting to be your mate?" "If my brother doesn't like me, then I'd rather die," she shrugged. "A fox that can't win the affection of their mate is the most useless fox. There's no reason to live." She spoke of death so casually, as if leaving this world was of no consequence. Once again, I was struck by how indifferent this species could be toward life. I asked again, "If you're so determined to make me your mate, why did you say before that you liked another fox and told me not to covet you?" Upon hearing this, Snow coughed, set down her fork, and began recounting old grievances. "That day a woman brought you home and you even hugged her in the Fox clan. Hugging is something only mates do. Brother, you've hugged me so many times, but then you hugged her too. That's betrayal." Her beautiful face was full of grievance. "I was upstairs watching you two hug, and I got so mad. You didn't even come up to comfort me when you came back. My brother told me to come home, so out of anger, I said those things and ran off. Honestly, I regretted it. I know I shouldn't think of humans the same way I think of foxes, but I can't help it. Just thinking about how someone else hugged my fragrant, handsome brother makes me go crazy." "A woman? A hug?" I thought for a long time before remembering what happened that day. It was a foreign business partner. Hugging was just a normal social gesture in her culture. Yet this fox twisted it into something intimate. "If you thought I betrayed you, why did you come back?" "My brother scolded me," she said softly. "He told me humans are different from us. He said a narrow-minded fox like me would never win a mate's affection. If you betrayed me, it only meant I wasn't good enough. I needed to be more open-minded and treat you better so you'd come back to me. I was speechless. What kind of absurd love-struck logic was this? Are all foxes this bizarre? All right, one last question. I took a deep breath. Do you eat humans? Her eyes widened instantly. Brother, why would you think that? Foxes are people too. How could we eat our own kind? Then she realized something. So that's why you're afraid to accept a fox as your mate? A little, but not anymore. Your fox clan is very different from what I imagined. I beckoned her over. Can you transform into your fox form? I want to sleep in your fur tonight. Sammy's not big enough and it's uncomfortable. Of course. Her eyes lit up instantly, as dazzling as the brightest stars in the night sky. Beautiful, perfectly proportioned, wealthy, loyal, and affectionate, she was practically the ideal mate. Plus, she couldn't live without me. She pitifully begged for my love, and no matter what I did, I wouldn't lose anything. Thinking this way, maybe it wouldn't hurt to try. All right, let's try. After all, I have nothing to lose. During their courtship period, foxes are incredibly clingy, love to act cute, and are obsessed with kissing and cuddling. They often impatiently lick you and complain if you don't reciprocate. The courtship period usually lasts a month. So one day, about a month later, I couldn't take it anymore and slapped away Snow's restless hand. Your courtship period is over. You can't keep being this excessive. Kissing and licking are instincts for foxes, she pouted, hugging me. I like you, so I can't help but want to kiss you. It has nothing to do with the courtship period. If you don't let me kiss you, I'll feel terrible. And if I feel terrible, I'll go bang my head against the wall. You're torturing me. You can't do this. I'm not saying you can't kiss me, but you can't do it until I'm all red like I'm cooked. I grabbed her head in frustration and took a deep breath. Honestly, I think foxes are better off finding other foxes as mates, at least in terms of physical compatibility. After truly being with Snow, I regretted my let's try decision countless times. It was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I liked her cuteness and affection, but I truly couldn't handle it. One person, one fox, and one dog. I thought life would pass peacefully like this, until I got kidnapped. The kidnapper was a frail young man, one of Lily's brother's rivals. He ranted maniacally at his phone, threatening my life. Looks like that aloof elder brother had made plenty of enemies, I thought to myself. This kidnapper was inexperienced, like someone making a desperate last stand. He looked fierce but didn't even drug me. The bracelet Snow had given me was custom-made and contained a blade. I carefully retrieved the blade, cut the ropes, and seized a knife from the ground while the kidnapper was still ranting into the phone. I pressed the knife to his throat. The empty warehouse had no one else but him. I tied him up with the ropes and began to think, how on earth had someone this incompetent gotten past my bodyguards to kidnap me? That's when Zach arrived, his face dark. Something happened to Lily, he said. In this world, the White Fox clan was divided into two factions. One advocated harmonious coexistence with humans, going so far as to integrate deeply into human society and pledging allegiance to the Moore family. The other regarded humans as mere food, scheming to slaughter humanity and crown themselves as rulers. Humans, of course, were not to be trifled with. They joined forces with the harmonious faction and, after several battles, decimated the hostile faction to the point where they were no longer a threat. The remnants of the hostile faction harbored deep hatred for the Moore family. Once they came close to killing Lily, but I interrupted their plans and brought her back to my place. Now they've set a trap, creating the illusion that I'd been kidnapped, luring Lily into their ambush. It was in that forest. Zach, with a grim expression, told me. They tricked Lily, saying you were in there. By the time I arrived, Lily had already killed all the white foxes surrounding her but was severely injured. Worse still, she thought you were dead and completely lost her mind. An enraged white fox can only be calmed by its mate. I'm sorry, but you might need to take a trip into the forest. No problem, I said without hesitation, waving my hand. Take me there. Zach shifted into his fox form, a massive 2-meter-long white fox crouching before me. Get on. I'll take you there. I froze for a moment but quickly climbed onto his back, grabbing hold of the fur on his neck. We raced through the forest at breakneck speed. When I finally saw Lily, I was stunned. My delicate, sweet little one was nowhere to be found. What stood before me was a fox, covered head to toe in blood, ramming its head into trees and roaring in anguish, its eyes nearly bursting from their sockets. It barely even looked like a fox anymore. I cautiously approached her. She was in visible pain, her once beautiful eyes now bloodshot, her claws frantically scraping the ground over and over again until they cracked and bled. "Lily?" I called softly from half a meter away, standing still. "I'm here, it's okay now." She turned her head, a flicker of confusion in her eyes quickly giving way to a spark of light. With a sharp howl, she lunged at me, knocking me to the ground. My back hit the dry leaves below, but it didn't hurt, just left me a little numb. She frantically stuck out her tongue, licking me from head to toe, as if trying to confirm my existence. A whimpering sound came from her throat, part pleading, part aggrieved, and part fearful. Tears fell onto my body. She was crying, her paws gripping me tightly as if letting go for even a second would make me disappear. "Don't cry, darling. I'm here and I'm fine," I said gently, pinching her ears softly. "I'm here, sweetheart. I'm all right. I'm right in front of you." Honestly, someone like me, with my personality, could never quite accept the idea of white foxes being bound to just one partner for life. But seeing Lily risk everything to save me, single-handedly taking on 9 foxes and winning, I couldn't help but feel my heart tighten. And once it moved, it was unstoppable. 2 months after the kidnapping incident, Lily and I registered our marriage. She beamed with joy, even buying a new outfit for Sammy and carrying it as we moved into our new home. Our new life was filled with happiness and comfort. Occasionally, though, there were whispers. People said I had married up by being with Lily. I couldn't argue with them because, deep down, I kind of felt the same way. Zach knew about the rumors and made a point of telling me not to mind them. "Love is ingrained in the very genes of white foxes," he explained. "Every aspect of their evolution is geared toward finding someone they can love wholeheartedly. You loving her is her greatest fortune." "Still," I said quietly, "it feels unfair to Lily. She shouldn't be bound by the instincts of a white fox. I want her to have more freedom, to not grieve too much even if I'm gone one day." "Well," Zach replied lightly, "white foxes have physical and mental strength that far surpasses most beings in this world. There's always a price to pay for that. We can't have everything. That wouldn't be fair to humans now, would it? Love is the shackle that strong white foxes willingly place upon themselves." I was silent for a moment, finally beginning to understand the lingering questions I'd had before. Evolution is fair. It created the white foxes, a species almost unparalleled in strength, but at the same time, it left an inescapable weakness in their genes. Mates were both a condition for survival and a source of calamity for them. To Lily, I was both. One evening, as I sat on Lily's back, riding across the Siberian plains, I clung tightly to the fur on her neck. The wind rushed past my ears as we dashed through the wide-open expanse. "I love you," I shouted into the sunset. With a howl, Lily leapt high into the air, diving into the vast, fiery sunset. It was breathtaking. It was exhilarating. With only the sound of my pounding heart in my ears, I thought to myself, a lifetime is short. Spending it with one person will pass in the blink of an eye.